Bethel was a quiet town located in the middle of Texas, the perfect place to settle down and raise a family. It was a safer place, filled with well-meaning neighbors who all regularly went to church. In short, it's the kind of place where nothing bad really happens. Well, nothing happens at all. While the community isn't so small that everyone knows everyone, one or two loners at most, still their faces are known. It does, however, only have one high school, one church, and one sad, dinky movie theater that will never get fixed up because it's a historic landmark. It's that kind of place where you would have to drive 20 miles out to find the nearest shopping center that wasn't a locally owned store. The whole town is pretty cut off from the rest of the world. Thank God for the internet, or else they may never know what goes on past their front doors. Yes, Bethel is a nice, safe place, and Kate Fuller, who happens to be the town preacher's daughter, well, she's just as sweet as can be. She has the demure smile, the cardigans over sundresses, and always a kind word to say. Yes, she looks the part just fine. Perfect preacher's daughter. And yet underneath all that, well, Kate's just plain bored. It's true, no one knows, of course. Not even her brother, Scott, in all his teenage rebellion has taken notice. Which isn't surprising. She has been playing at good church girl for so long, the motions are near muscle memory. Kate's been feeling this way for a couple years now. You wouldn't notice, though, because she still believes in God, wishes her neighbors well, and genuinely loves her family. There's nothing to take notice of, even if her face tends to go blank when no one's looking. She's afraid there might be something wrong with her, because truthfully, she's not sure she feels much of anything anymore. Like when you try to hear someone speak underwater. There's sound, but it's dull and loses its luster by the time it reaches your ears. Everything is just muted. Originally, she thought finally getting to go to school would change that. Till junior year, Scott and her had been homeschooled, which meant being shut away from others more often than not. Daddy was ever so protective of them, and at first, there was definitely a change for the better. Even if the only reason this came about was because of her mother's sudden resurgence of depression. Kate's not an idiot. Her mother's unwell and, powerful he may be, God can't fix that just from prayers. But soon enough, after the initial relief of starting school, she felt as dazedly untethered as ever. Maybe she was sick like her mother. If so, what hope was there for her? Her father had been clear with how he handles Mom. God can fix this. He can fix anything. He's all any of them need. Well, Kate needs more than God. Some days, she even wants to yell it in his face, but doesn't have it in her to behave so viciously unprovoked. Instead, she sighs, continuing to smiling on cue. No one notices how it hasn't reached her eyes in years. In the spirit of being self-sufficient, she decided to try something new with the goal to cure herself. Starting school helped for a bit. It had been a change in daily life. Maybe another one like getting a boyfriend would help. And oh, what a kind boyfriend she got. He looked as rebellious as Bethel gets, almost with a hippie vibe. Sure, there are better-looking jocks, but they all act so similar to one another. Kate can't tell them apart. Kyle, though, was one of a kind. At least, that's what she thought. At first, her father disapproved. It's the long hair that makes the older generation think he's up to no good. but soon she found out just how wrong both her and her dad were. Kyle was not so different underneath his untrimmed hair. In fact, he was a regular good old church boy, sending her Bible verses for texts and everything. Like all the other church-going boys. Kate wanted to love him, she truly did, but she couldn't. And after a while, she barely even noticed he was there. Didn't even really enjoy kissing him much. Despite her permission to hold her a little more closely, a little more firmly, he persisted in giving barely there touches, which was fine for someone else. Kyle was sweet and kind. He loved Kate dearly, and she wished him the best. The best away from her, preferably. By the time senior year had started, Kate has broken up with Kyle. It was the talk of the town, but there was nothing much else for people to talk about. Her parents were worried at first. Well, her dad was. Mom barely leaves the room if it isn't Wednesday or Sunday. Kate assured everyone that Kyle didn't do anything wrong. Really, Daddy, he was a perfect gentleman. And pretty soon, they all believed that her and Kyle just weren't well suited. A little more time passes, and Kate starts to wonder what's the point. She's so fucking bored. Then something changes. To someone's, really. In the middle of September, they come roaring into town. No, seriously, the car engine almost shook the ground. They give the illusion of appearing from thin air, two men, brothers, coming to Bethel to stay for a while. While it's not wholly uncommon for people to move here, they do from time to time, renting one of the few apartments on the edge of town, it is still really not a common thing. The newcomers rent a small house. It used to belong to Old Man John, but he moved into a retirement center a year ago. His family, for lack of any better ideas or wanting to move, they just put the little place up for rent. Nothing odd in that. And yet, these brothers are different. Kate can't help but notice. She hears all about them before even laying eyes on them. By the end of the day, it would be a surprise if more than a handful of people somehow hadn't heard about them. Never mind that they haven't been here for more than hours. The brothers come into the people of Bethel's lives wearing nice sharp black suits and shiny Ray-Bans hiding their eyes. Kate hears plenty more, and as curious as she is plenty curious. She puts it out of her mind, after all. She sees them eventually. It is a small town. By the time school lets out on Friday, Kate still hasn't caught more than a glimpse of their car, shiny on all edges. It's early yet to be disappointed, since they only came in with sunrise on Wednesday. After staying a little late at school, she's on the homecoming committee, Kate walks to the convenience store off of Main Street before going home. All the way in the back, basking in cool air leaking from the door she holds open, lazily browsing for a soda, she hears the chime of a new customer entering. The sound of shoes against hard linoleum rings out from behind. The owner of said shoes comes to a stop beside her, looking for the glass door. She doesn't even bother to look who it is, reaching inside for a drink.
You hot or something?
The voice is rough and unexpected enough that Kate almost jumps as she snaps her head to the side. It's one of the brothers. It has to be. She knows everyone else. He wears a suit just like people said, standing a good foot taller than her. His head turned to the side looking at her, with blue eyes hidden behind horn-rimmed glasses, looking directly into hers. She sees what all the fuss has been about. He is handsome. "Excuse me?" She asks half because what does he mean by that, and partly because she's simply a little confused at the moment. Gesturing with one hand to the door she still holds open.
You feeling too hot. Looked like you'd been standing there for a minute.
Not once has he looked away from her eyes. It should feel unnerving. It doesn't feel that way at all. Trying to focus on the conversation, she feels a blush rush up her cheeks. God, she's just staring at him. Oh no, I'm fine. Gently, she lets the door fall closed, as the man across from her nods his head, still not looking away.
You just looked sick or something. Thought the heat might have gotten to you.
She had been standing there in a daze. It's no wonder he got that impression. No, really, I'm fine. He doesn't look convinced. His gaze on her doesn't let up when he turns his body to face her fully. Not sure what to say next, but wanting to keep the conversation going, her manners take over. I'm Kate Fuller. I don't believe we've met. Gently offering her a hand out to shake, he takes a step towards her, with a smile crawling up his face, and clasps hands with hers.
Richard Cruikshank.
Somehow, his last name doesn't quite seem to fit. He started to point to the drinks, about to say something, when the door chimes once more.
Richie, hurry up, will you? How long does it take to get a couple of drinks and some smokes?
The man's voice trails off at the end, as he rounds the corner catching sight of them. Dressed similar to his brother, if slightly less done up, they look like a matching set. This one's just slightly shorter, with eyes as black as the night. Clearly, this family has good-looking genes.
Seth, meet Kate Fuller. Kate, this is my brother Seth.
Richie's smile has turned into something wide. She's struck with the urge to hit him. He just looks so damn pleased. Looking back at the latest stranger, she sees him slowly lose a tenseness in his shoulders that she hadn't noticed at first. Turning to her, an eyebrow quirks up, and he asks,
Kate, is it? The preacher's daughter?
It's a testament to both the town's size and the residents' gossiping ways. A stranger knowing who her father is isn't surprising. He's subtly looking her up and down in a way that's more like sizing up a threat than anything else. It rubs her the wrong way. Bristling slightly, a sarcastic edge creeps into her voice. Yeah, that's me, the preacher's kid. Laughter highlights his voice when he goes on.
Shouldn't you be at home, princess? It's getting dark out. Not safe for little girls like you.
Asshole. Why? Are you planning on doing something to me? Her tone is dismissive. Seth has moved into her personal space, eyes darkening, voice low and seductive.
You never know, princess.
She doesn't know how to respond to that. He's trying to intimidate her, yet her body feels overly flushed at the moment, muddling all her thoughts. She won't just take that, though. Steeling herself, she straightens her shoulders, leans in close, and sieves a reply. Fuck you, asshole. It's not clever by far, but the message is at least crystal clear. Loud laughter booms out from his brother, while Seth licks his lips. Turning on her heel, she goes. Already out the door, a voice calls out,
See you around, Katie.
And see her around they did. Suddenly, there's no escaping these two snakes. And yes, they are snakes. The following Sunday, they join her church. Sure, everyone is welcome in the house of God, but these two are not church-going men. They sliver in with nice tailored suits and charming words, none the wiser. Seth looks at ease when her father personally welcomes them. Richie just keeps looking around the room, then to her. Ever the good shepherd, her dad invites the brothers to sit next to his family during the service. Seth's whisper in her ear of,
Good to see you, princess.
When the sermon starts, leaves her hot in places she'd rather not admit. After that, they are invited to come over for dinner.
That sounds great. We'll be there.
The town loves them already. They're writers, you see, and came to live here for a while just to get away from the city. During dinner, Seth glances at her when he mentions how he was surprised with the hidden treasures the town had to offer. Her father beams and rambles about all the best nature spots nearby. Snidely, she suggests they think of wearing something besides a suit if they go hiking. Dad glares at her, but oh, how those two grin. You would have thought they won the lottery. Lies spill easily from Seth's and Richie's mouths, and everyone eats them up. Everything about these two seems to put Kate on edge. No one else notices, though. They make her skin buzz, always aware of where they are in a room. They're bad men with pretty faces, and if she was really as good as everyone says, she would say something. But she doesn't want them to leave, so Kate says nothing to anyone. For one real reason at first. Kate's not bored anymore. Sure, they are assholes who lie with every other word, but she feels awake with them around. And they are around a lot. Richie and Seth soon become a part of her daily life. One of them always shows up halfway for a walk home from school. Mainly they talk. Richie seems to have an endless expanse of knowledge. She would listen to his voice all day. Seth is all jokes and intimate banter. No one ever comments on why this starts. It just does. Besides, she has always preferred to walk home alone. Therefore, there's no need to explain this development to others. Both seem somewhat fixated on her, but that's okay. The feeling's mutual. A couple weeks pass, and they take turns picking her up in the car instead of just walking her. Going back to their place, watching black and white westerns, they know all the lines. She tells her dad she's joined some clubs, so she has to stay late now, and he doesn't question it for a second. Guilt of lying to her family never comes, no matter how long she waits. Sometimes, she goes swimming in the pool around the back of their little house. Richie watches, keeping her company, smoking all the while. She never sees them riding. She never expected to. They do look over plans, though. The blueprint kinds that show a layout of a building. Never once do they bother to hide this after the first time. Over time, they begin to hold her closer on the couch. Small touches here and there, becoming more frequent, lasting longer. Kate wants more, but she doesn't know how to ask. One day, she just decides she won't ask at all, crossing the small distance between Richie and her when she catches his gaze lingering on her mouth. Seth comes home to see her sitting on his brother's lap while he kisses his way down her neck. Richie rubs his hand soothingly on her hip and turns to the stunned Seth.
Wanna join, brother? Katie doesn't mind.
And she doesn't. She wants them both, sin or not. All the same, she bites her lip at this, slightly embarrassed. Come on, Seth. He's spurred into motion. They do a lot more than watch movies now. Still, they attend church on Sunday, sit with her family, and one usually quietly whispering dirty things in her ear throughout. Mom's too gone to notice, and Scott's all the way on Mom's other side. From afar, it all looks so innocent. No one the wiser just how friendly the three of them really are with each other. They manage to keep this appearance up, even after she's learned how to make them both say her name like a prayer. True devotion takes place in the bedroom. Everyone has secrets. Everyone lies. They just have a few more than most. She's seen the scars on their bodies. There's only so many ways a person can get hurt like that. Hell, Seth's been teaching her how to pick locks. Richie goes over how to take care of a gun.
You have to keep it clean, Katie. You don't want it to jam on you when you need it.
On Sunday, she overhears a conversation about a string of robberies that happened a couple months back, a few towns north of them. Apparently, the robbers were brothers, the Gecko brothers. How terrible, they all say, before moving on to the topic of lunch plans. Kate's skin itches. She discreetly watches them over a cup of stale coffee as they make their way to her from the front of the church. Everyone wants to talk to the handsome brothers. So classy in black. The description of the bank robbers, they look like such gentlemen wearing suits, sounds terribly familiar. Kate's not stupid, okay? She knew they were trouble from the start. No, she's not stupid. But when she simply smiles brightly at the Cruikshank brothers coming her way, thinking about if robbing a bank is as fun as it sounds, well, she starts to wonder if something about these two makes her a little bit dumb. Maybe she just doesn't care when it comes to them. Yes, these are bad men, these Gecko brothers. Bad men who are looking at her like they want to eat her up. She's the only holy thing they need. Kate feels loved. And is it so wrong to want to keep that feeling? Was it such a sin to want to keep them? Maybe, but at this point, she's past such a basic worry. No, the real concern is when they will skip town. Because now she knows they only have been laying low. February hits suddenly, time's creeping up, a clock counting down. When are you leaving? It's all but blurted out one afternoon, but it's something she has to know even if she doesn't like the answer. They have been getting antsy. It will be soon. She knows this. The real question isn't one she can bring herself to ask.
Soon, princess.
Seth can't look her in the eye, working his jaw back and forth. He turns to Richie. They have a whole conversation with only one look.
You're coming with us, aren't you, Katie?
Leave it to Richie to ask the hard questions without flinching. Seth swears at him without any real heat to it. They have talked about this when she isn't around. You want me to? The next few hours are spent showing her exactly just how much they want her around. Kate starts carrying around her passport and few other things she might need. Then, before the month is up, things change for Kate again. Rumbling to a halt, their car pulls up beside her walking home one day. This time, they're both in it. Kate leans into the open passenger window. Want some company? Twin grins are flashed her way. She climbs in the back. Plans are already in motion. Richie Gecko always has a plan. They've been casing a bank 2 towns to the east. It's where they have been running off to lately, why it's only ever been one of them that picks her up till now. They're going to rob a bank. Well, multiple ones. A long spree across the whole state. Crossing the border before the week is up. Kate's throwing away her future if she does this. All for this pair of brothers and the way they make her feel.
You can just stay in the car if you want. You don't have to do this.
It's Richie that says it, but Seth is nodding his head in agreement from behind the wheel. Give me a gun. They hand her one along with a white dress. She's got the look the part, after all.
How do you feel about the beaches in Mexico, princess?
I think I would like to see them for myself. Richie's smirk is a wicked thing, as Seth laughs catching her eye in the rearview mirror. No, Kate isn't bored at all anymore.